Yeah. We're so honored to have from Nevada Highway Patrol Major Kevin Honey and Major James Schubert here in the house today. We also have from Nevada Highway Patrol my friend Lieutenant Anthony Munoz. We also have from Nevada Division of Parole and Probation Lieutenant Don Morgan. And so awesome to have our embedded parole specialist Tiffany Smith, and we're so awesome to join by Trooper Well. Can we give them a big, gigantic round of applause? And I said the Faith in Blue initiative is events like that's taking place all over the country, where we have the opportunity to bring law enforcement and community together to show that we have so much more in common than we have differences, right? And we come up with creative ways to see how we might be able to work together to make our community stronger, make our community safer. And I don't think that there's no place in the nation that's doing any better than right here in the great state of Nevada. And what I want to do as we get started, I want to just go down the line and give each one of our panelists an opportunity to introduce themselves, give a short bio about themselves, and then we're going to get things underway. So we're going to start over here to my far right with the District Attorney, Steve Wilson.
Thank you, Commander Ponder. Appreciate it. I'm Steve Wolfson. I'm the Clark County District Attorney. You know, one thing, John, that you saw just a couple minutes ago is laughter and having a sense of humor. If you can't laugh at yourself, you can't laugh at anybody else. But you got to have something to feel good about, to laugh about, something positive. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight, John, among other things. Yes, I'm the Clark County District Attorney, and yes, I have a tough job sometimes. I have to decide who gets punished and how much they get punished, or who gets a second chance and what kind of a second chance. I run an office of 700 employees, 170 attorneys, and a lot of great staff people. But it's a tough job. But I'm looking forward to our discussion, John, so thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much. Please give him a hand, please. Major Honey.
Yeah, my name is Kevin Honey. I'm the Deputy Chief of the Highway Patrol Division here in Southern Command, Las Vegas. And thank you, John, and panelists for inviting me. I had the opportunity to come to a Thursday workshop a few weeks back, and what you guys are doing here, it's undeniable. So congratulations to all of you. I know the hard work you and your families and all of your friends are putting in to make sure that that you are successful on the other end, and that's kind of what we're here for. You know, we like the district attorney said, we have a tough job. You know, and I've never not felt when we have to take somebody into custody. You understand there's families involved and there's things other than that. And we kind of hide behind the, you know, I've got the law to back me up. But the flip side of that is if you want to make a difference in your community, when you guys are willing and you've crossed that threshold and you want to get back into society and you want to make a difference, the same guy that may have run you into jail is going to be waiting there for you. That line starts behind me. And if you guys are willing to put in the effort, part of being a good community steward is being willing to help people afterwards. So I applaud everybody on this panel, everybody that's in this room here for, you know, for showing the desire to do that. And thank you very much for having us.
Awesome. Please give him a hand.
Hi, everybody. I'm Officer Tiffany Smith with Parole and Probation. I've been with the department for about a little over 2 years. Recently became the liaison for Hope for Prisoners a few months ago when the spot came open, and it was one of those meant to be situations. I remember seeing John at my church about 7-8 years ago and said, wow, that's a great program. I want to be involved. And now I'm involved in the most graceful and impactful way. I believe we live in the community together, so it's my responsibility, not only as a mom of 2 children, as your neighbor and friend, to be a part of the solution and stop living in the problem. So that's why I'm here.
Good evening. My name is Anthony Munoz. I'm a lieutenant with the Nevada Highway Patrol. I've been a part of Hope for about 3 years now. And this in 20 years as being a cop, there's nothing that's meant more to me than this program. I was so excited to come in today because I knew my family was going to be here. And when I walk in, I get the hugs from my hopefuls. There's no better feeling in the world. And like the major said, it's one thing to, hold people accountable. I'll never apologize for my job. But at the end of the day, I'm there. Some people need to go to prison. If it's a public safety issue, we need to do our job. But at the end of the day, actions speak louder than words. I'll be there standing to work with you every step of the way. When I came in today, it was really a family reunion. My boy Jack over there, I said, I love you, bro. When I saw him today, it melted my heart. It's been a little bit since I've seen him, and see him today. He knows how much he means. When I look through the room and I see my family sitting out here, this program means the world, and we do it different in Las Vegas, and you'll see that tonight. So thank everyone for being here.
Good evening, everybody. My name is James Schubert. I'm the Deputy Chief for Parole and Probation here in Southern Command, and these guys hit it on the nail. I mean, our role in the law enforcement community is that second chance, right? That's why we're here. That's why we exist. Jon's doing it a little bit better than we are, so that's why we're here. We're jumping in with him. We're going to learn from him, and we're going to get better at it. And like I said, this community and the things that Jon is doing here is amazing. That's why we're partnering with him, and he's inspiring us to be better at our job, which is very important, which is getting rehabilitation back in the community. So thank you, and thank you, Jon.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Give him a hand.
Yeah, testing. Lieutenant Don Morgan with the Division of Parole and Probation. I've been with PNP for about 16 years. My passion is programs, developing programs for folks in the criminal justice system. I really do care about you guys. I really do care about getting you on your feet and making you successful and ensuring that you finish your probation. Just real quick, something's on my heart. This young man right here, can you stand up for me, sir? Right, just a few weeks ago, he and I ran into each other at the Division of Parole and Probation. And I just want to say, I'm so proud of you, man, to see him. When I walked in and I saw you, I felt good. I felt like I did something. So thank you. You know our conversations and how we showed each other respect, and you're here, man. I appreciate you.
Hello, my name is Trooper Ashley Wellman. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Nevada State Police. I came to Hope a few years ago. Lieutenant Munoz brought me in to a workshop, and I didn't really know what I was walking into, and I haven't stopped coming since. I literally broke down, and I stripped it down raw in front of all of you. I cried my first workshop, but you guys cried with me. We laughed together, and we ended up hugging and taking photos and everything at the end. Like, it truly felt like it was a family. And it's really been, we all wear the badge to serve and protect our communities, but it's very important to me that my goal is to turn my badge from a symbol of fear to a symbol of trust. And I appreciate all of you so much for being here tonight, and every workshop that everyone comes to, and just listening to me and all of my coworkers, because together we do that. We turn this to a symbol of trust, and we build that, we mend that bond. And in this job, we see a lot of bad, and you have to balance it out with the good. And because of all you really helped me balance the good. So just thank you so much for everything.
And I am Jon Ponder. I'm the janitor at Hope for Prisoners. And we're going to go through a series of questions, and I'm looking through these questions, and I'm going to just deviate just a little bit because I can. And I want to have an opportunity to share. Lieutenant Morgan, what you said with this young man here is just so very powerful. And just we're celebrating him as he's coming in. I want us to be able to get together and celebrate him as he's going out. Right? Celebrate him as he's walking out. That is what our commitment. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Hope for Prisoners for those of you who do not know, or some of you who may be joining us for the first time, watching on Facebook all around the world. Our organization works with men, women, and young adults that are exiting different arenas of our judicial system. So we work with people who may be coming home from state or federal prisons, city, county jails, drug rehabs, halfway houses, transitional facilities, and likes. And what we do is provide the supportive services to help the men and women that are coming home not only get acclimated back into workplaces, but we make sure there's mechanisms in place through partnerships that we built up with employers that once they get inside the workplace, they're going to be afforded every opportunity to thrive and be able to grow, afforded every opportunity to succeed. We address the needs for them to get acclimated back into their family, which has kind of been a missed mark of reentry since forever. It's like no one's ever given the particular close attention that's needed for our men and women after they paid their debt to society, returning back to the community, understanding they have to get reconnected with family, with wives and with husbands, and particularly to get reintegrated their children. So we work as best we can to ensure that there's a mechanism in place to help with the family reunification component, because everybody in this room can attest to the fact if the family life is not right, if the home life is not right, then everything else in the world has a tendency to fall apart. And then on the back end of the process, because there's a long-term 18-month plus journey where we walk with you, looking to do everything we possibly can with every resource that we have available to us to ensure that we're helping you to be stand-up leaders in the community with an overall goal of never, ever, ever reoffending again. So Hope for Prisoners was founded back in 2009 when I walked off a prison yard. And since that time, we've had the privilege to work with over 4,700 men and women have been through our process, right? Thank you so very, very much. And because of the success that we've had, because of these unprecedented partnerships, we have built up literally the #1 reentry mechanism in the country. We could not do that without collaborating partnerships, specifically from our law enforcement partnerships. And that's the judicial system, that's the district attorney, that is these men and women right here, which are the parole officers. And we're going to talk about why that is key, that they are at this table, and why it is going to reduce recidivism and help people not only never go back to prison, but to be able to help them to live levels of life that most people only dream of. So I'm excited about the direction that we're going as a reentry community here in the state of Nevada. I'm even more excited that we have today the two majors, the deputy chief and the major that's here. They're newly appointed to those positions. So I think that there's probably the best way to start this out, since they're brand new in their position, that we want you, and I'll throw it over to you, both of you guys go back and forth here. I'd like for you to tell our audience to share your vision and direction for your respective divisions.
Mine's on. I'll go. I can tell you, with respect to Hope for Prisoners, I don't think you guys want to know what I'm planning to do as far as traffic violations and that kind of stuff. So what we're going to do is slow the flow of traffic speed throughout the valley. Our goal obviously is to kind of increase our footprint with Hope for Prisoners. It's really hard to work alongside of Lieutenant Anthony Munoz and Officer Tiffany Smith and not be completely ignited by this whole program. So our goal is to get other officers who haven't been exposed to this, to give them the ability to see what you guys are doing, what the incredible work that's going on here. And it's not a tough sell at that point. So with regard to Hope for Prisoners, I during my tenure, it will be reemphasized. I will encourage and give people the opportunity to come down here and to be part of the situation. And I look for, and Major Schubert will explain a little bit more, but I look for an increased affiliation with the program. I look for very energetic people to come through here and share their stories, because we all get here on different paths and different journeys. And I can tell you that I'm maybe 2 or 3 bad decisions away from sitting in any one of your seats, and that's not lost on me. I had a very good support system. I was fortunate, and I thank God for that every day. And I think it's the best thing that we can do is to provide that support system for you guys that are willing to go the extra mile and to go through the painful journey. And I think it's not lost on you that the real work is still ahead of you. And if we can help you in any facet, If you need somebody to talk to on a hard time, if you need somebody to just come by and say, hey, can you, I need a shoulder. I will buy you a cup of coffee. I think that's kind of a committed goal from here on out.
Well, it's funny. I brought my little piece of paper because, as he said, we took over, I don't even know now, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's been crazy. They saved a lot of work for us when we ever got promoted. So we've been going crazy here the last 3 weeks, but it's been great. But one of the things whenever I took over is, and one thing I'm going to do is I made it's a PowerPoint, but I'm going to go through and talk to all of our employees, because if you don't know, parole and probation is very unique in the law enforcement community. We go through ebbs and flows, right? We go through certain times, whatever it's political, whatever the reason, we'll be very heavy law enforcement. And then 2 years later, we'll be very social work heavy. So we go through and we have to balance that. And it's very challenging for our officers, right? One time you have to make an arrest. The next time you're getting them the resources they need to be a successful citizen. So it's a great job. And that's why so many people stay in our division, because of programs like this, of the changes you get, just like Dawn already, when you make a difference in somebody's life, money is not an issue, right? Money is not our driving factor. Nobody gets into law enforcement for money. I can promise you that. All right. You're there because you want to make a difference. And whenever it happens, and maybe it's only once in your career, maybe it's twice, maybe it's 100 times, but whenever it happens, it makes it all worthwhile. And that's what drives us. That's what should be driving parole and probation. And that's something that I'm going to push as the major there. I'm pushing that mission. And, our mission is safeguarding Nevada, right? Like they said, we're never going to hide behind our badge. We have a job to do. We have to keep the streets safe, and we're going to do that. But the two other parts of our mission that are extremely important, offering solutions and reshaping lives. Those are huge. That's only 4 words, but that's a very big task that we're trying to take on as parole and probation. And that's what we're going to push over. Like I said, I got a good 5 more years that I'm going to be the major there. I'm going to make sure that is our goal for parole and probation, is offering solutions, reshaping lives, making sure that we get people the resources that they need to make that change and make that leap from, I hate to say that word, but an offender to a citizen, right? That's our goal. We are rehabilitation, and that should be driving everything that we do. And that's my mission for parole and probation, is to make sure that is driving our focus, our officers, our lieutenants, our programs, our community partners. That's going to drive us. So that's what I'm looking for over the next 5 years for parole and probation.
Can we give him a hand for that? And Steve, I was going to go over to you. I'm sorry, D.A. Wilson. I was going to go over to you. But what I think I'd like to do is kind of stay in this vein, because you guys have basically been the boots on the ground here at Hope for Prisoners, and the benefit of you guys doing what it is that you do is it's causing making a phenomenal impact on the lives of our people. So I'm gonna break rank here. I want to go to Tiff. I'm sorry. I want to go to Officer Smith. Call it Tiff. I want to go to Officer Smith. And Officer Smith, maybe you can share with us some of the things that you have seen while you're in this environment. And maybe we could talk about one of the major benefits of you being embedded here as boots around, inside the Hope for Prisoners headquarters.
Well, I think one of the main things of me being here is we all have a story, right? We're all human. And my story is a lot like theirs. The difference is I didn't get caught, and I maybe made one more better choice than they did. So I can really relate to what they're going through. Didn't have a good home life growing up. So I have a lot of things in common with them. So it's really easy for me to look past whatever they've done, as well as it's easy for them to look past the gun and the badge, because we're just two people connecting and sharing stories, right? And they have to learn to trust me. And if I'm not willing to, walk the walk, I shouldn't be talking the talk. But I'm very transparent with all of them. Anyone who's on my caseload here knows, a few of you. I'm going to do everything I can. I'm not going to do it for you, but I'm going to be there when you start to realize you need to do it for yourself. And I'm going to walk along with you. And I think the empathy and the grace that I give It's because it's been shown to me. And I think a lot of us are really missing that in a relationship with people, is the empathy and grace that we've never received. So if I can be that outlet for them and be an officer, because I still have a job to do, right? They all know where I stand with that. I don't have a hard time blurring the lines. They're not blurred. Like, I have a job, but I'm also your person who's going to be your biggest supporter. And I really, really want you to win. And they know that. And I think if they can get even that one person, even if it is their parole officer, not their family member or their friend or their significant other, to really believe in them and push them and give them, you know, the purpose to get up in the morning to be better for themselves and for their children, then that's what I'm willing to do. I changed units to do this. I left a comfortable position and I said, well, who's my leadership? And I'll go over a cliff for the right leadership and look at the panel. I mean, this is my leadership. So I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make a significant change in their lives, because it's about generational curses we have to break. And there's a lot of them in this room. And it takes a village to do that. So I'm willing to do that for them.
That is outstanding. Can we give her a gigantic round of applause? You know, I think what it is to make you as effective as you are, and same thing with LT, is that as we're talking about bridging the gap between law enforcement and the community, it's that transparency, right? It's in that transparency. If you think about, you know, what's happening in law enforcement agencies across our country, right? You saw the summer 2020, this big disruption between law enforcement and the community. And what you did see that, you know, there was a lot of people who do not trust law enforcement, right? You just don't trust law enforcement. This is innate thing, right? Sometimes generation passed down. You don't trust law enforcement, right? The reason why people don't trust law enforcement is because they're not in relationship with law enforcement. And in what relationship could you ever establish trust unless there's a life rubbing up against life in the spirit of complete transparency? And in that transparency, we realize that we have more in common than we have differences, right? Right? That we have. And I think that out of that transparency forms the relationship. And out of that relationship, trust gets established. And I think that you guys are doing an absolute phenomenal job with that. Lieutenant Munoz, I know that you have been around for with a little while, coming inside the workshop, mentoring and boots on the grounds, you know, with some of our folks. What have you seen from your perspective, and what is it that you see that is working? Why is this partnership so successful?
I think it's easy. It's when we start the workshop, we come in, and if you haven't been to a workshop, I highly encourage it. It will be life-changing, I assure you. When we come in as law enforcement and we come in the room with hopefuls that are just out of the system or just out of prison, both sides, we have young cops that come for the first time, and the hopefuls, they're sitting clenched up, they're tight, legs are crossed. And we get up and we just open up. I don't want you to see this badge. I'm a cop 10 hours a day. Beyond that, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a friend. That's who I am. I wear this 10 hours a day. I'm a human being. So when we are able to come into a workshop and open up about who we really are, it really is, we're more alike than different. And when we say that at the beginning of the workshop that we're more alike and different, you should see the look on the hopeful faces and the new cops there, because I can tell, there is no way I'm like this cop up here. There is no way. But as we go, you get about 30, 40 minutes into it. I always scan the room, and arms are no longer crossed. Legs are kicked out. We had a gentleman about a month ago. I look over about an hour into it. His feet are kicked up on the chair, and I'm like, we're good. He's relaxed. We've made connections. So beyond that first thing, it's great to come in and do that, but then there's the next step in becoming a mentor. And that's where you really build those connections. And I encourage everyone on this panel, if you're not, look into it and become a mentor. Because I can tell you, I feel like they're mentoring me more than not. It's a two-way street. Yeah, I may get texts from hopefuls with some issues, but I text them right back. I have this issue. What do you think? Because one of the things I love, and I've talked about this in the workshop, in the position I'm in, I can pick my team. And the characteristics I want are empathy, sympathy, compassion, and dealt with adversity. You give me those characteristics in a person, we're going to conquer the world. And how much adversity has everyone in this room sitting out here dealt with? And you're still here today. And being able, it makes me not only a better person, but a better cop as well. because one of the most brilliant pieces of advice I ever got came from a workshop. And the gentleman stood up and he said, "Sir, all I ask of you, I believe in what you're saying, but when you're talking to me on the side of the road, please talk to the human being that's in front of you, not the name in the computer." And that hit me. That's in the past. So being able to form these relationships with hopefuls coming in, that's why we do it different here. I mean, did you guys ever imagine 20 years ago that you would wake up and the first person you would text in the morning is a police officer telling him you loved him, to have a great day, to give your kids a hug and a kiss? And I'll flip it around. Did I ever imagine that I would wake up as a cop and the first people on my mind when I wake up are hopefuls, and I got to grab that phone and get those text messages out? Tell me we don't do it different here. And John's right. Once you get that physical touch, I walk into that, I can't wait to hug people, and that's what it's about. So this program, once you get involved in it, it's game changing. It's life changing. It says it's life changing. So being a part of it starts at the workshop. That's reform, but then it goes beyond. So I encourage those that haven't been to a workshop, up on the panel in here, come to a workshop, and if it's something, become a mentor. Touch a life, because your life will be touched far more than you're going to touch yours, I assure you. So I do got a question though for Doug here. We're gonna get a little off topic. Doug's got the Meineke. He runs a Meineke. How awesome is that? Hope for people running. But Doug is a huge Oregon football fan. And those of you that follow sports, Oregon is a Nike school, right? They got the cool uniform. So Doug rolls in with a Nike Meineke shirt. Did you get Nike on board with Meineke? I'm just messing with you. So yeah, I can't even put into words, John, what this program means to me and the relationships that are formed. Come to a workshop, become a mentor.
Thank you. Boy, the LT had Doug over here about to speak in tongues. Did you see? He was like, Shamba. We're going to go over to Lieutenant Morgan. Lieutenant Morgan, you had said something, and we will stay in the vein of that. You were in PNP headquarters. You bumped into this young man, and you vocalized that you were excited for his success. What I'd like to ask, because I know you've been in PNP for some time, with boots on the ground. I'm going to ask you this question, and then you can take it anywhere you want to go with it. But what do you think is a misconception regarding law enforcement, the justice system, and justice-involved individuals, people coming out of the prison system and being supervised on probation? What are some of the biggest misconceptions?
Well, the main misconception with anything is the trust between your PO and the offender or participant. And there's that barrier there because we both have our guard up. We don't know if the services that we're trying to provide you is actually genuine or actually just trying to get you out of our face or you wanting to get out of our face. So what I always say and how I've always guided my career is it's all about the messenger. I can provide you with resources and coach and mentor you, and you can be successful. Mistakes or whatever, making mistakes or whatever, I can give you to another officer and you can go back to prison, right? For those same mistakes, right? So seeing that, that's where I took it upon myself that, you know what, we need to break down those barriers and I need to educate my officers on how to show respect to these folks because they came from an environment where respect is what they had. Right? When they get out, they get off the bus. Now it's our turn to show them respect. So what I achieved from showing my offenders respect is success, right? Young man, he's in here. He's in your program, John, because we had a conversation and I had to show him respect because he was saying, you're going to show me respect. Right. And I said, OK, I'm going to give you respect. And we had a genuine conversation and he's in your program. But that's just me. Right. That's just me. That's who I am. Right. But being at the lieutenant level, that's what I require from all of my officers. Right. That's what I require from the officers who are down in our reporting room. Some of you guys know where that reporting room is. Right in there. And when I hear them being disrespectful. Right. And when I hear them not showing you the respect and being petty, I'm on them, right? You're not going to get results from being, I'm not even going to say it, but just, being a hard PO. Sorry, I almost went there, John. Right, I almost got lost in it from being a hard PO. So, those are barriers, right? And you guys know it, right? Show me respect, you get respect, and it's a two-way street. What we're trying to do here is our ultimate goal is to provide solutions for you guys, right? That's our ultimate goal. Is to get you from off that prison bus to into a house with a job that you can sustain yourself with. That's our ultimate goal, right? How we get there, that's it. It's some roads are easier, some roads are harder, right? But our ultimate goal at Parole and Probation is to ensure that you get to the finish line. Thank you.
So good. Give him a hand for that. And I really appreciate your leadership in being able to train your other officers and how to be able to deal with those situations. One of the things that we talk about on our side with our folks that are coming up, you want to be respected, to live your life as if you're standing in the mirror, right? You give off what it is you want to return. And can you imagine how beneficial it would be if both sides of the aisle lived in that moment, that you're living your life as if you're standing in the mirror and I'm giving off what it is that I want in return, right? What an incredible world I think that would be. I want to go down to the greatest district attorney on the planet.
Maybe
No, it was quite a few, I promise you. That's why I think he's the greatest district attorney on the planet. And D.A. Wilson, we have worked for many years, right, on different things, not only with the criminal division, but with the family support division, right? Making sure. I remember a conversation that we had many years ago about formerly incarcerated people coming home having issues with child support, right? And we don't need to unpack that right now, but you can if you certainly want to. But we created a very unique program within the district attorney's office, and I want to give you an opportunity to talk about that program, how it's unique, unlike any other program in the country. But that program also ties into parole and probation.
You talking about Hope for Second Chances?
Yes, sir. Woo! You're supposed to start screaming. Woo! You should start screaming.
So I met up with Hope for Prisoners about 6, 7, 8 years ago. I think I was invited to a graduation, and it was at the old office over on East Flamingo. It was July and no air conditioning. And it doubled as a sauna, I think, that afternoon. But I went to one graduation, and it only took one graduation to hook me and to get me involved. And then I went to a second graduation and then a third graduation. And the next thing I know, John asked me to speak at one of the graduations. And here we are 6, 7, 8 years later. I think I've spoken, John, at 10, 15 graduations, been on a few panels with you. That's how much I believe in this program. So John talked a little bit at the beginning of tonight about what Hope for Prisoners is all about. It's about reentry, right? People that are coming back into our communities and that need assistance. They need guidance, they need mentorship, a lot of stuff, right? Well, about 2 or 3 years ago, a light bulb went off in my head, and I said, why are we waiting until people are getting out of jail to provide them with the services, the help, the treatment, the job training, the mentorship, the friendship? Why don't we do it on the front end before they go to jail? So I went to John. I said, John, I've got this great idea. He said, let's run with it. So the district attorney's office created a program called Hope for Second Chances. It's an offshoot of Hope for Prisoners. And what we do for certain people that meet criteria, the young man who's 23 years old, 25, 27 years old, who committed some armed robberies because he's got a drug habit. That's serious. Pointing a gun in someone's face is serious. Going into a 7-Eleven and pointing a gun at somebody's face and say, I'm going to shoot your effing head off. Okay. That's scary. Okay. And when you do it 10 times, sometimes those folks go to jail, right? But what about that 23 or 25-year-old young man that was doing it because of a drug problem. What do we gain by sending that person to jail for a couple, 3, 4, 5, 6 years? Nothing. When that person could benefit from a program rather than going to prison, offer that person some services, some help. It's basically help, guidance, treatment, job training, mentorship. So we created this program where people participate in the Hope for Prisoners program, but not as a reentry, as a pre-entry. And Jon tells me, and I want to believe him, that it's the first reentry program used in a pre-entry way in the country. And I love it, and thank you for giving us and this community the opportunity to introduce that program, and it's been very successful.
It really has been very successful. But let me show you how successful it is. So, Steve, that we're not just the talking heads in this whole thing.
Is this a surprise?
Yes, it's a surprise.
Okay.
Come on, stand up. I want to bring you over here to meet the district attorney. You know how he does it at the graduation? Well, hold on, wait a minute. Deanna, I want you to meet the district attorney. You ever think you standing and meeting the district attorney, shaking his hand?
No.
Well, give him a handshake.
Okay. What's your first name?
Deanna.
Okay, Deanna. I believe in hugs.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm a hugger.
Yes.
I'm a lover.
Well, you really do want to give her a hug, and I'm not sure if you remember or not, but Deanna was it 3 years ago?
Almost 4 years ago.
Deanna, almost 4 years ago, was a part of the Hope for Second Chances program.
I think I was one of the first few applicants. Jenny Pandulo was my attorney, and I was in also I was on drugs in robbery sprees with my boyfriend. And the program actually really saved my life. I would have been facing, I had a suspended sentence of 6 to 15 years, and I successfully and I'm honorably discharged from probation. And all my felonies have been dropped to misdemeanors.
Wow. But that's because of your dedication, your commitment, your hard work. Because we can only help. You can guide a horse to water, but you can't force him to drink. So you get the credit.
I now work in an attorney's office, and I'm trying to be certified in paralegal.
Fantastic. Why don't you go to law school? What do you mean?
Why didn't I?
Why don't you? How old are you? Like 23 years old?
No, I'm 30.
Okay, I got her vote. You see that? I got another vote. No, but it's, I throw that out there because I've said that to other people. If the law is something you're enjoying,
Yeah.
and you have a passion for it, you have a little bit of a background in it, it's not too late.
Yeah.
And I have actually offered a job or two to a Hope for Prisoner graduate in the last few years, that if this person completes law school, I'm going to hire them.
So if
that
I go
could
to
be
law
you
school,
too.
you're on me.
Well, there's a committee, and you got to, it's the
Okay.
government and all that. But I'll remember you,
All
and
right.
I'm the one that makes the final decision on who to hire. And let me tell you something. It's one thing to have good grades. It's one thing to do good in this and that, but character is everything.
Yeah.
And you've got character, lady.
Oh, thank you.
Can we give her another round of applause? So very, very proud of you. Wait, hold on. Listen, if the district attorney, Steve Wolfson, ever says to you again, what, you ever considered going to law school? Say, absolutely, I have. That's the only thing. But we're so very, very proud of you. But Steve, the benefit of that, right? She was on her way to prison, 6 to 15, suspended. I know she has kids. Children would have been without a mom, right? 6 to 15 years. Who would have ever known what would have happened on the other side of that? But because of your leadership and the decision that you made. You sometimes you say it's my choice, but it was yours. You brought it to the table, so let me give you all the credit for that. And because of that, this mom never went to prison, and now she's in our community. She's working as a tax-paying member of our community, and not as a ward of the state. So
That's
thank
phenomenal.
you so much for that.
That's phenomenal. So if you don't mind, John, if I'd like to just tell a quick little story, because you've asked, a bunch of questions, and I'll try and be brief. Lawyer being brief, no way. But we talk about transparency, we talk about relationships, we talk about trust. So here's the little story. I've been the DA 10 and a half years, and as many of you know, my name is on every criminal complaint, on every indictment, on every information, because it's Steve Wolfson, district attorney by deputy DA, whatever, okay? So in the 10 and a half years I've been the DA, I've received 9 death threats. And, that's pretty serious when you get something in writing, I'm going to kill you, right? 8 of them I kind of, dismissed, the person's, pissed off and angry, and my name's on the document and everything. But one hit home pretty hard, and John knows what I'm talking about. And I had to take action because this person who sent me a death threat in a letter was getting out of prison in the next 60 days. So I reported it to the authorities, and they went and interviewed him. But then I learned a little bit more about this man and why he was so upset with me and so upset with, quote, the system. And I recommended that rather than incarcerate him any further, that he enter into the Hope for Prisoners program, which he did, and he graduated. And I'm very proud of him and that.
And again, him not moving forward, pressing charges, that's 7 years right off the rip, right? Threatening the DA, whatever. But we also, he made arrangements, Jerry Howell, for him to be transported from, I think he was in Southern Desert down to the Clark County Detention Center. I met the guy in the Clark County Detention Center. We got him out, graduated, and the guy never looked back. So thank you so much for that. Well, you see, these are out of the box ways, right, of thinking, right, and working with people. Lieutenant Morgan, I'm going to throw it back over to you, and then we'll bounce back over here to Officer Smith and the LT. Where do you see the partnership or the work in parole and probation? How do you see that expanding? Right, it's the way it is right now. We talked about your training officers, but how do you see that growing? How do you get more officers involved? How do you get more officers that think outside the box, to think like you think, or duplicate these two over here?
That's a great question. So just let you guys know, I handpicked Tiffany for you guys before Tiffany. A lot of you guys know Officer Bryant, right? Handpicked her, right? Because I knew what Hope for Prisoners was looking for, right? But to answer the question is, it starts with the recruiting, right? We have to go out to these colleges and start recruiting these psychology majors to come in here who would rather speak to you and try to solve your problem and work with you more so than recruiting folks who are looking to be law enforcement officers to lock people up, right? And that's one of the major things, is shifting our focus on what type of people we hire to do the job. And then once we get them into the academy, also still work with them to say, hey, look, we're social workers first and foremost, we're social workers. So we need to start training them rather than qualify with a gun or a taser or OC on how to provide comprehensive case plans to make the people we're servicing succeed, right? And drill that in just as much as we are drilling in how to use a gun, how to use pepper spray, and how to use tasers, right? So that's very important, that we're kind of reshaping their mind state of the job. I want social work. I always break it down that if I had to break down my job between social work and law enforcement, I would say I want the person to do 70% social work, 30% law enforcement, right? Right now we're in a transition, but I've been in periods where we were 80% law enforcement, 20% social work, which resulted in a lot of folks being locked up for drug-related charges and probation violations, right? Now, I'm not going to get too technical with the AB 236 and stuff like that, but parole and probation has switched their focus to being a lot more lenient on probation violations. Folks have to do a lot to get violated, get their supervision violated, according to AB 236. But that's just to give us time to work with you. It's forcing our officers, don't use the handcuffs, use your mouth, right? Use your brain. Let's help these folks. Let's get this person out of this addiction, right? And let's get them on the road to success. And not just say it, focus and coach and mentor that person to succeed. So that's where we have to transition in order for us to fulfill our mission statement, like the major said earlier, right? Reshaping lives, providing solutions, and safeguarding Nevada's. Right?
Give him a hand for that. I really love that. And Tiff, there are many benefits to you being embedded in our office, right? Because as we work inside Southern Desert Correctional Facility, trying to grow the relationship there, Florence McClaw's Women Prison, you guys have embedded specialists there, right? So just think about it. Let me share this vision of the model. As my team is working with the men and women who are in prison and they're transitioning out, those who are coming home on paper get a connection with the embedded P&P specialist there, first contact. So then as they transition out and we begin to working with them and help provide those services, wraparound services to help them be successful, they come here and they connect with you. So there's been a warm handoff. I'm just trying to drop vision to everybody in this room. There's been a warm handoff from the inside to the out. And you being here in our office, listen, this brings the parole officer to the table with the case manager, the substance abuse counselor, the mentor coordinator, and the job developer, making sure that person transitioned out and he is fully engaged and moving forward. I guarantee you that model right there is the model for America, and that increases the probability of this person fully seeing the love and the support that they have, and they'll never go back to prison again. So I'm going to throw it. Yeah, you can clap because that was so good. Tiff, how do you see that?
I agree with your vision 100%. I think a lot of it too is we have to change the way we think about ourselves too. A lot of these people who end up incarcerated didn't really have a shot from the beginning. Can I just say that? Being of the way you're conditioned or the household you're raised in and just doing what you have to do to survive, right? So that's all you know. So it's my job as part of your officer to retrain your brain to realize there's better on the other side of that. So you don't have to reoffend to think to feed your family. You can get educated. You can learn new skill, and not just a job, a career. It's possible now. Those things are possible now. And I think me being part of the process as far as being inside with them too, it's scary. It's scary. I see some people come to me and meet in the office and they're shaking. And I'm like, what's the matter? Oh, I'm just nervous. Why? They're so scared. One, to be in an office, authority figure, officer across from, they're so scared. And I'm really trying to change. Just relax. Like we're here together, right? We're going to work on this together because I don't want you to go back. The worst day is me taking my cuffs out. I hate it. Anyone who knows me, I don't like it. It's not solving any problems. Is it? I mean, am I wrong? It's not solving problems. It's not getting people off drugs. It's not getting people not to get out in 6 months and reoffend. We have to change their mindset. And we are a big part of that because we are a part of their accountability. And I think if we change our mindset and how we're going to police people, they'll change their mindset.
That is so awesome. Give her a hand for that. I want to throw a question over to the major. Being with Highway Patrol, and I heard you earlier say that you want to come up with creative ways to get more and more troopers involved. What are some of the creative ways or creative things that we can do with Highway Patrol to get more boots on the ground to do to help out with the things they were doing. I got a couple ideas and I might share with you in a minute. But I'd like to hear from your perspective.
I would like to hear yours.
Okay.
And maybe I'll coattail
I
it.
promise you, it's
And
coming.
Aside from everybody in this room and all the people on the World Wide Web throughout, they will be my ideas going forward. So.
Well, one of the ways that we're looking to grow our partnership with law enforcement, and I promise you, we have done a phenomenal job with LVMPD and with Nevada State Police. Phenomenal job. Those Thursday sessions that you would participate in, man, I tell you, sometimes you walk away, there's not a dry eye in the house. People walk in on both sides. They walk in that room in one condition and they leave in that room in a whole nother condition. And in an instance, hearts have changed, right? So I think that we've done a phenomenal job at doing this. And I'm going to bring it back to the P&P side on that as well. One of the things that we're looking to do moving forward 23, right, is to see how we can get more highway patrol officers and parole officers more involved. And one of the thoughts that I have is, just like we do the Tuesday night huddle up, right? Our folks are in this 18-month process and they're continuing with substance abuse training and so forth and so on. But we really want to grow out our leadership training. Sitting with some of the greatest leaders in the state of Nevada right here on this panel, we're looking to grow out our leadership training. What that might look like, imagine, if you will, because I'm a visionary, visualize this. What if we could get just one trooper a month to commit to come into our building and put on a 90-second leadership training in whatever his wheelhouse is? It's one trooper, 1 month. And then what if we do that on the parole side? We get one parole officer, and I would love to get you to at a Tuesday night huddle up too, right? Because I know it's up in you. But can you imagine we just get one parole officer to commit to just 1 month, 90-hour session on leadership, and then we continue to do that and work our way through our other law enforcement partnerships. And what if you can't give the visionary mic? But what if we extended that to our prosecutors and get the prosecutors to send one deputy district attorney for 1 hour every month? And then by doing that now, we're bringing each other in face-to-face contact with each other outside the parameters of the normal training that we've been doing. And I'm going to shut up and see what you guys think about that.
Yeah, thank you. That's exactly what my idea was. So almost word for word, in fact. I can tell you that as I sit up here today, I work with a bunch of highly motivated, a bunch of really, really good people. And I don't think that's too big of an ask, John. So we'll work offline, see how that looks. And I have no issue telling you right now we can make that happen.
Oh, give him a hand for that. Give him a hand for that. And we're going to leave the district attorney off for last, but we're going to come over here into El Talking, man. Tell me, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, Don, what do you think about that? Well, I might take you a step further. I don't know if it'd be possible, but maybe we do a huddle at Parole and Probation.
What do you guys think?
We can move
Huddle
it
over
sometime.
Parole and Probation?
So we can host it one time. You can bring, come over there, and then, like I said, we're about breaking those barriers down, right? So coming in when you're not afraid that you have to do a drug test or you might go to jail, you're coming in and trying to just change that narrative. And maybe we host it, and yeah, I'll assign Dawn to do that. We're good to go.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. See, thinking outside the box. See, it's inside this environment, we get the creative juices flowing, man. You don't know what's going to happen. We might walk out of this room with $2 million before the D.A. Wolfson.
What did you say? 90 minutes a month?
Yeah, just one prosecutor.
Well, I'm the boss, and I have 110 prosecutors in my crim. Where are you going?
No, I was great.
You got another surprise for me or something? So I've got about 100 prosecutors in my criminal division, and they all want to be promoted. Okay, because these are government lawyers and they want to move up the ranks and everything like that. And as you know, John, once a month there are graduations, and I have Nell Christensen, my training and recruiting chief deputy district attorney, that comes to many of those graduations, and she brings a lot of the young lawyers that are coming into the office to see a graduation. In fact, a few people I know are speaking at this Friday's graduation. I think some of the younger lawyers are going to be there. But the answer is yes. That's a real easy ask, because picture this, you know, the people that are coming out of law school and coming to the district attorney's office, they want to do trial work because trial work's fun. Trials are fun, okay? But I want to introduce them early on in their careers that we're dealing with human beings, you know, because they have stacks of files this high, and they've got 30, 40, 50 files a day when they go to court. But every single one of those files is a person. And I want them to realize, because I was a young prosecutor years ago, and I'll never forget being 26, 28 years old and having the power to decide who goes to prison. Oh my God. And it hit me pretty hard. It's an incredible amount of power. And I want my young prosecutors especially to realize that it's such a powerful thing that they must appreciate and recognize that not everybody should go to prison. 1%, 0.5%, the other 99% should not. So when they come to the graduations and they see that we're dealing with human beings, I think it's a great idea. This is another way for them to get involved, this 90 minutes a month, which is nothing. So the answer is yes.
Give me that. So we got about another half hour before we open up the Q&A, but nobody's told me no yet, so we're going to come up with some other stuff. You know, somebody said, just keep going till you tell you no. So, you know, made me think about Dear Wolfson. And again, I know that you want to get your young prosecutors involved, and I know that's what PMP, we've heard from PMP here tonight, right? Getting them involved. And Lieutenant Morgan said to, you know, do training. You know, we do training on our side too, right? And again, I'm just sharing those with you to see how we can just meet in the middle, right? We meet in the middle with this, but we do a training on our side where I challenge our folks to think about how close the word enemy comes to the inner me, right? Because we grow up and we see this right here, and this represents the enemy. And you think about how close that word enemy comes to the inner me. And I share with people transparently that I spent a lifetime fighting enemies on the outside until I took a look at the enemies that were laying dormant on the inner me. And once I conquered the enemy on the inner me, the enemies on the outside disappeared. Are you following me? And that's when I came to the realization that, you know, for Jon Ponder, who grew up hating the police, for me, it was never the police. It was never my parole officer. It was never that judge. It was never the district attorney. It was always that enemy that was laying dormant on the inner me. And once I conquered the enemy on the inner me, I'm friends with the district attorney. Does that make sense? So as you guys continue to work on your side, just understand that we're still pushing a line. Did I just use the penitentiary term? We're pushing a line. Some of y'all caught that, right? We're pushing a line on our side to make sure that we can do everything we can to just meet in the middle. I want to open it up to some questions and comments that you guys might have. There's been a lot of information that has been shared here in this room. For those of you who are watching online, please make sure you drop that in the chat room. Those of you who are watching on Casa Grande, I know we have a staff member that's over there. What is that question and a comment that you might have for any of our panelists here today? And I'm going to ask Trooper Wellman, I'm going to ask you to work that side of the room, and I'll have you do your thing. And I'm going to work this side of the room. I'm going to roll around like old school Geraldo Rivera. Remember that? Remember he got his nose broke? But I'm going to come up this side of the room. If any of you guys have any questions or comments for any one of our panels, please raise your hand up. If you're online, make sure you drop it in the line. And what I'm going to do is this on? Okay. Tell us what your name is and tell us what that question or comment that you have directed for which one of our panelists.
Well, my name is Walter. Is this thing on? Okay. I've been out since 1999. Okay, I'm a lifer. You're my person to put me to prison. Not your fault. It's my fault. Okay, not your fault. 91. But my question is for Officer Morgan, Lieutenant Morgan. You said earlier about training your POs and all that. Since I've been out since 99, I have noticed differences in parole officers because I've been through a few. They have been getting more respectful, more understanding. The PO I have now, how can I put this? I destroyed his trust in me. I violated my parole. Okay. And he was one of the best parole officers I had. But because I ruined that part, he's a little bit more harsh, which I don't blame him because, again, it's my fault. So I just wanted to thank you to bring that up, that the parole officers are getting better and the training is getting better. But like I said, everything that I've gone through is my fault. Not the parole officer, not Wolfson, it's just the way it is. I got to worry about what I did, what for the reason I went in. Okay, I just wanted to thank you all of you guys. I want to thank you for your job, for what you do, and because you arrest somebody and put them in prison doesn't necessarily mean that you did it out of malice. You did it because it's your job, and to get us out of harm's other civilians' way. So thank you.
That's good, man. Thank you so very much for that. Again, open it up for any questions and comments. Anybody want to respond back to that? Questions and comments you might have. We are on the other side of the room.
All right, Schubert, you're up.
I'm here.
First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for being here. I'm both honored and humbled to be in your presence. I've met you at a few graduations ago with Officer Smith, and we talked, and you pretty much said the same thing as you've told everybody here to me, not knowing me at all. And I went through 16 and a half years of incarceration, no write-ups at all. 7.5 was with, he was Associate Warden Howell at the time. He doesn't know me, so I must have been doing something right. And now I'm out 11 years in 5 more days. My interaction with law enforcement is through Hope for Prisoners. And I'm coming up on Thanksgiving and Christmas. My wife lives in California. I guess it's been cut back down to 2 weeks for travel pass. And I got a big honeydew list on the property in California. And I'm just wondering, for people that have been out of trouble, 27 years with no write-ups, no interactions, about maybe getting it kicked up like me seeing my wife for 3 weeks at a time. I have to come back for a medical appointment and then go back. But that's the time we got together, is the holidays. It's for us, her daughter and her grandson. And just asking about that. And not only for myself, but people who've been out of trouble that long. If there's something that can be overrode on the 2 weeks. And also I understand why there is 2 weeks. Too many people have transferred their paroles out of state, got in trouble, got the state sued, got the parole sued. But I think it should be on them that should get the hard knocks on it.
So may I ask you a question? I'm sorry if I jumped the gun. How long have you been out of custody?
In 5 days, it'll be 11 years.
Okay, so here we are 11 years later. You've gotten into no trouble in 11 years, correct?
None at all.
Okay, so my question is, it sounds to me like we need some legislative changes, because the legislature, that's the body that passes laws, rules, etc. So there must be some rules that require you to still only have 2 weeks with your wife, or travel passes, or all that. To me, anybody who's been out of prison, I don't care what you did to get you in, that's been out 11 years, should be, well, let's be cautious here. I don't know about free, but should certainly not have the restrictions that he has. Maybe check in with your parole officer once every 6 months or something. And I think that we need to work with our legislature to change the rules and the laws to give folks like you more freedom.
Yeah, and I would agree. There definitely needs to be some law changes. We have people on our caseloads for a long time, and we're stuck by the law, right? We have to follow the law. And the same thing with your case. I know you're taking on John's. Nobody says no up here, but I gotta check the policies. I gotta see what we're under the same restrictions. We have policies. We have interstate compact rules that we can't violate, or else we get fined. But we definitely could look into it and see the history of yours. If you're compliant and our policies allow it, then we definitely could look into that and allow that.
Yeah.
But I don't know it offhand, unfortunately, so I can't say yes, no, we can do that right away. But it's definitely something we could look into.
Yeah, this is just coming up to the point that Thanksgiving's getting here and Christmas, and like I said, the honey-do list. And I will say something else. 11 years ago, my first parole officer, we discussed this, was Officer Mahalko, who's since retired. And I met him. I gave him my word that I wouldn't embarrass him or myself. And he pretty much, I laid out my game plan, college and all that. And he pretty much let me play it out. And it was such a connection there. When I go out the mountains in my Jeep, camp overnight, 2 nights in a row, I'd show him pictures, and he was interested. He was wishing he could go be doing that. But I'd like to thank everybody at P&P. I've only had one person that rode me hard, and I don't understand that, but that was just her personal decision. So, but everybody else has been pretty talkative and interested, and not in and out of hit. It's been very good. So
I'm glad to hear that. And Lieutenant Morgan hit it on the head, and I showed him because I wrote down recruiting, right? We have to recruit the right people. There's people that have that power trip. They want to have a badge and a gun, and they want to show it off, and they want to use it for the wrong thing. And there's not a person up here that hates a bad cop more than good cops. All right. If you guys think you hate them, we hate them more, because they ruin our reputation for people that are doing this for the right reasons. All right. So our recruiting, and like I said, I'm working with our deputy director and our upper commands. And just like Lieutenant Morgan said, we have to recruit people that have that mentality of, I'm here to help somebody. I'm here to be a social worker. Yes, I have a badge and a gun, but that should not be driving my decisions. My decisions are rehabilitation. How do I help this person get back into the community? Right. So he hit it right on the head. I'm glad to hear that most of them are good, and that's a good thing. And like I said in the beginning, we go through ebbs and flows of, sometimes we hire and we're pushing law enforcement, and sometimes we hire and we're pushing social work. So we got to balance that out, and it's a hard thing to do, but I'm glad to hear that you had success in that for the most of your part. So
Thank you so much for that. We're gonna go online because I think the Lieutenant Morgan, you didn't cracked open a can of worms, because you were talking about the training, and I think that hit a chord, that struck a chord, right? Because we know that's very important. We have a question from inside Nevada Department of Corrections. It says, for Lieutenant Morgan, that's you, what is parole and probation doing to keep up with the updated trainings regarding evidence-based trainings that has been proven to help people on the parole and probation side to reduce recidivism? As I start reading that, right, I already knew automatically that's my case manager, Darby Buckley, that's in there, because that's her kind of language. But how do you answer that question?
That's a great question, because we just bought a new assessment tool, NRAS. A lot of you guys may have done the assessment prior, if you were in prison, or if you were in county, or you're at parole and probation. And what it is we do an honest assessment, just to classify you guys and determine supervision level, right? And that's one of the things where it helps us provide services for you depending on what supervision level you fall in. So that's an evidence-based practice tool. Also, we're sending a lot of our officers more than ever out to get specialized training, right? We're sending them. I have my specialty court team at a conference this week learning about specialty court and the different supervision aspects. We're looking at different models across the country, such as Georgia model and how they do parole and probation and evidence-based practice stuff. We're teamed up with Ohio risk assessments, right, to make sure that we're classifying people the correct way. So what we're doing is we're spending a lot of money and we're investing our time in becoming a better agency for the purpose of providing you guys better services. So.
Yeah, that is so good. Thank you very much for that. And I know that I want to publicly thank PNP as well, because I know that you guys opened up an opportunity for my entire staff to go through, I believe it was the NRAS training, or it might have been the MRT, I'm not sure, or it might have been the HIJK element of P. I pay people for that, right? But it was, you opened it up for 10 or 15 people on my staff to go through that training. We didn't go back over here because we don't want to neglect our friends inside Nevada Department of Corrections. We have a question coming in from Florence McClaw's Women's Facility, and it says, one of the ladies would like to know the possibility of working in law enforcement after having a felony. Crickets. Why did everybody turn around and look at D.A. Wolfson?
Because I had a dumb look on my face. I don't know. Thank you for laughing at my jokes. I appreciate that. Well, I don't think that's true, because an example I'll use, John, and I think you're very well aware of this, isn't it true that one of your Hope for Prisoners graduates, and I'm assuming, maybe I'm wrong, had a felony conviction, who's now working inside of the Nevada Department of Corrections?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell this audience that it's easy, that just, when you get out of prison or when you get off probation, you have a felony conviction, Metro's going to hire you right away. No, there are processes, and maybe you have to have your records sealed, and the system is making it easier for people to get their records sealed. But I don't think it's an absolute no that a person with a felony conviction can't work in law enforcement. I think there are certain doors that will open in certain situations.
Can you give him a hand for that? And I'm gonna come over here to you. You know, I think that, you know, we of the approach, right? That you know, our partnership is able to change the face of reentry, right? Really want to change what it means to be formerly incarcerated people that are coming home and truly fighting for a second chance. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is to help to create a massive amount of people who come home from the prison system. And listen, not only do they never reoffend again, they begin to live levels of life that most people only dream of. Because if you were to ask me 10, 15 years ago, the level of employment opportunities that we have right now, we couldn't get people jobs more than $8.25 an hour in telemarketing. But because people who had come home from the prison system got inside those workplaces and just soared like a superstar, that opened up other opportunities for other employers who've never considered hiring formerly incarcerated people ever before. But now with us sitting, no more jobs than we can fill as a result of people coming home from the prison system, getting out there and soaring like rock stars. So I believe, I was going to hit this Martin Luther King, that I have a dream. I believe if we keep doing what it is that we're doing.
You weren't the first person to say that.
I know. If we keep doing what we're doing, who knows, 15, 20 years down the line, when there's been a massive amount of us who have come home from the prison system and got out and soared like superstars out 20, 30 years and never reoffended again, who knows? One of us might even sit up here on highway patrol. If it was me, I want to ride the motorcycle. I want to be that guy. We're going to open up questions and comments that you might have. We can come back around to you. I know my main man, Rafael, has a question. What is that question you might have?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rafael Munoz. You hit it on the butt pretty much. I'm coming up on my 10-year anniversary next month on the 8th. I will be off of parole 10 years. And I'm coming up also on the anniversary out of prison for 15 years. I'm not from Nevada. I'm originally born and raised in New York City. December makes 2 years that I've been in Nevada and a Nevadian. And I love it, every minute of it. My question is one of those questions. For a person like myself that's been off of parole for so long, also out of the prison system so long, does my past have to be readjusted from my past? Pretty much me having to deal with those channels of trying to get an expungement, trying to get the people of higher ups to look into my file to get me that opportunity, possibly, if possible, for me to be, if not a free man again, but a free man again, to search and seek other employment if I choose to find that. And yes, like Jon said, today it is very, very empowering to know that I, for myself, have the opportunities, and the other brothers and sisters that are coming out that have the opportunities today that I know that I didn't have back in the days. I mean, when I first came home, my number one was no, 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 no. I mean, I'm not super educated, but I'm pretty smart. And my first job, I had to wash dishes. The kitchen was the only thing that never discriminated against me. Any other job that I went to, if it wasn't telemarketing and answering a phone, it was no. And today I'm blessed and I'm grateful to be able to have a career. I am the Southern Nevada's Democracy Associate for Silver State Voices. I'm working these streets, trying to empower the community. I'm doing a lot of work, outreach work with the community. And I would like to one day be given that opportunity and that chance, seen by the higher ups that I do deserve that first and foremost, to be able to make another right within my channels and my path. So the question pretty much is do I have to go back to New York to figure that out, or are there people in place here in Nevada that can help me and assist me to figure that out here?
I think that's for me, right? And we had a conversation before our session started, right? And was I nice to you? Was I pleasant to you? Did I give you a suggestion? My suggestion was to send me an email in the next couple of days 4, 5, 6, 7 paragraphs explaining your situation. I would call my person over in family support, not one of the line people, but the director out there, to get a specific answer for you. So what we've learned here tonight is that you've met me. We have a relationship. Julius knows what I'm talking about. Julius actually came into my office, right? And I gave you something, didn't I? And I told you not to tell anybody else, right? That's another story, okay? Boy, he had a good dinner that night, I'll tell you. You're going to send me an email, okay? And you're going to tell me what the issue is, and I'm going to look into it for you. That's the best I can do. Because I don't know whether you have to go back to New York or get somebody back there to help you, but I'll get the answer for you.
Can we give our DA a gigantic round of applause? And this is why I love this guy. And the other reason why I love Raphael, because I mean, I can sit and listen to him all day long. When I listen to you, I feel like I'm on the brownstones back and forth green section of Brooklyn.
Not to mention, he's one of the best dressed guys in the room. I told him I love your vest. You look good.
Wellman, I saw a hand go up over here. Would you be so kind? And then we'll come back over here.
John Robertson. I think we're missing a chair, John. We're going to have to get some legislators up here and on the panel and get them plugged in. And maybe somebody that doesn't want to give up for me because I'm, because that guy's a dirtbag. That's all we're seeing in elections now about on TV, all the commercial times. But we need to get somebody to buy into this as well as you gentlemen have, I believe, to take it a step further. Because I had no idea about your parole. I've never been on parole or probation. Just lucky. But I mean, the man's been out for 11 years and hasn't reoffended. Why he still got a rope around his neck, right? So he might as well be doing time. He's doing time, but he's not doing time. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of that just kind of hit me in the head and hit me in the face that I didn't know. We've talked about it. I had no idea because he's not running around complaining about it. That's why. He's a chaplain. He's doing different things. I mean, he's gotten entrusted to help other people. So I think that we need another chair there and get somebody in here in the legislature that can change some things, because as we addressed tonight with PMP, that there's some old school rules that are hanging out and they have no look at looking at anybody different except they're dirtbags I got to take care of. And I know that because I have law enforcement in my family. My cousin was an Oakland police officer for 25 years. And narcotics, 30 years in narcotics, and undercover narcotics agent for 25. I told him about John's program. I call it family, actually, in the beginning. And he said, they don't need us. They ain't got another coming. I said, whoa, bro, and you're my cousin. You're my Christian cousin. So it's a hardened position that's been taken for a while. But when people start seeing people as people, and dealing in love, there are consequences to actions. We all know, everybody knows that. Everybody's, it is what it is. But I think, and I hate to admit this, but the song that comes to my head is, what the world needs now is love, sweet love, for that is enough to sure. That is enough of. I don't know any other words to that song with that. All right. Okay. It ain't nothing else on my playlist. Okay. But it comes to my head a lot because if you just go from, I'm sorry, I know, Johnny, I cut it. But when you see people parking Japan, China, and Russia, and all these people, world leaders want to lob bombs at each other and desolate the earth, I think they need more love. They weren't held as a child. I think
so too. I think so too. Dave Wilson, did you want to add something to that?
Just that I hope singing isn't your first career.
But I think you're absolutely right. We'll work on bringing lawmakers because we talk about the legislative piece. So Brian, if we can start connecting the dots on some lawmakers, and I think that there's no better time than any to let you know that I'm running for office.
You're the one upstairs or right down the hall?
Steve, you called it, man. Any questions or comments that you might have? Never running for office. Running for my office. Questions and comments that you might have. We're going to come over here, and then Trooper Wellman, would you get her right there, and then I will come into the back of the room.
Oh, definitely.
I'm like Phil Donahue right now.
Hi, my name's Ashley. Thank you for being here. Oh, you want me to stand up? Okay. Hello. I'm Ashley. Thank you for being here. Mental health is a very big part of the criminal justice system. Social media allows us the opportunity to see some unfortunate instances between law enforcement and someone going through a really tough time mentally. What are you guys doing to help bridge that gap with mental health and the criminal justice system?
That's a great question. I'll hop in on that because that's something that I'm very passionate about. One of the things we talk about in our workshops, more like than different, it's not okay for someone to walk in a prison yard and break down and say, I'm having a rough day, I need help. What's going to happen there? Okay, same thing when I started, it wasn't okay for me to do that in a briefing, to cry about an event where I watched a young kid die the night before. It wasn't okay. So what happens, and we're working on it now, and I'll get to where we're going, but you take all these events on both sides, more like than different, where everything's being bottled up, and you take like a semi truck, a big truck, and we're just throwing all these traumas in a trailer. What happens to that trailer at some point? It breaks. Well, it breaks on this side and it breaks on our side as well. So mental health is a huge deal right now. And we have processes put in place, and it starts with a peer counselor all the way up through medical treatment, through doctors. And 10, 15 years ago, it wasn't okay to raise your hand and say, I need help, because, tell me if I'm wrong, the fear was they're going to take my badge and gun because I have mental problems. We've surpassed that. It's encouraged now to raise your hand. And I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, one of my favorite people in the world, Kevin Honey, our major, gets that, the human side of it. Going through October 1 here, it broke me. Being in the middle of all that, it broke me. I got home and I saw things that the human body shouldn't see. The mind should not process. I was hurting. And this is 2017. I reach out for help, and I basically got shut down by my boss. And I'm open with you guys are family. I'm open. I got shut down, and that hurt me. And I took it from that point on. This can't happen. Fast forward, one of my best friends, Benjamin Jenkins, was murdered on a traffic stop. And that just completely sent me over the edge. And one of my coworkers actually signed me up. I didn't have a choice. He signed me up to meet with a doctor. And it was the greatest experience of my life. I met with that doctor for 6 months, and we talked our way through things. We dealt with traumas going back to my childhood. The first time I met with him, he said, he identified the problems, and he asked about my upbringing. And he flat said, Anthony, we don't have time to unpack this. This is going to be a process. So part of it is it's okay to not be okay. And we realize that now in law enforcement, because we get in a patrol car and we have all these traumas that have built up over the years. We don't deal with people on their best days for the most part. When do we deal with people? On their worst days. So now you have all these traumas rolling down the road. We're interacting with traumas in the field. It's a recipe for disaster. So I appreciate that question. I want you to know we are working on that. We have completely identified it. And we have not only a major, but a Lieutenant Colonel Malesko. That is absolutely a priority, because if we're driving down the road happy, how much easier does that make life when we come in contact with individuals? And if on the flip side, reach out to a counselor. That's one of the amazing things about Hope. They will put you in contact with a counselor, a doctor. It's okay to raise your hand and say, I need help. So we are 100% identifying it and treating it on our side. And it's okay now. That stigma of they're going to take your badge and gun, that's completely gone. It's okay to open up and say, I need help. And it's not going to be an overnight process. Once we get there, I don't know, for lack of a better term, you're going to see a happier, friendly law enforcement once we deal with traumas, because we see things that the human body should not process. But we have to have that outlet. And Tiffany says something, the trauma's not your fault, but dealing with it 100% is. And I'm so thankful she put that in my head. So we are dealing with it on our side, and it's going to make law enforcement much more user-friendly once we identify these problems and deal with them.
I don't know.
Questions? I'm sorry.
I'd like to add to that too. At Parole and Probation, we've sent, I don't know how many people we sent, probably 105-ish, and it doesn't sound like a lot, but we only have 110 officers right now in the Southern Command anyway. So we send people to the crisis intervention training to make sure that that's probably the best training in the world right now in dealing with mental illness. So we send people there, and then, like I said before, Lieutenant Morgan is looking at programs, right? That's something that it's going to be a passion of mine. It's going to be a passion of Parole and Probation's, is to get them more training in dealing with that. So that's something that we're going to be working on in the next 5 years. So
yeah, that's kiddo. Just, I think your question was more geared toward law enforcement coming in contact with. Part of our academy now, it includes both every division within the state police, so Parole and Probation and Highway Patrol. That last week of their academy, and I just confirmed with Officer Smith, is that CERT training. So all of our newer officers, I think it's been in place now for a couple of years, are getting that where we lag behind is we it's a free class for our academy, but it's not something where we can take people off the road for a week. So we're lagging behind in our 5-year, 6, 7, 10-year officers having that training, but we're trying to catch up. So we understand. I see the same YouTube videos that you do, and it's not something we take lightly. So the more people, as we graduate more people, we're going to have more people on the road that are trained and that are CERT trained. So that more of those human interactions result in a good outcome. So we've identified it. We're trying to do the best we can to train for it, and we'll strive every day.
Maybe an officer trains 40 hours in 1 year, or maybe they've gone 3 years and it's only 40-hour training, right? They probably don't remember that. I learned stuff in my math class in high school. I don't remember that. So is it regular training, or how does that go? There's a recertification process, and each class, like our EVOC, I have to be recertified to drive my car very fast every 2 years. So there will be once you get that certification, that CERT certification, there's a retraining regimen, an element to that. Whether that's once every year, once every 2 years, I don't know, because I'm not CERT trained personally, but every 2 years. So yes, and what we would look for is maybe down the road to get people within each division instructor certified, so that during our yearly, we have yearly block training. When I'm not answering emails, I'm in training, it seems like here lately, but part of our yearly recertification training, if we could bring somebody in and have a 4-hour just touch base, here's what's changed, here's what's new, rehashing the core tenets of whatever that class is. So that's something that I see down the road.
And if I could just add a little bit to your question. So touching on what Major Honey's saying, I'm a defensive tactics instructor, Lieutenant Munoz is as well. And every time we go through its curriculum to plan our block training for all of our officers, which is pretty much every 6 months that we go through new training, we always, 9 out of 10 times, we put a scenario where mental illness is the factor, what's going on. And so we do it on purpose so that we're training new officers, seasoned officers, doesn't matter, all of us, to be aware, to recognize those signs of when somebody's in distress. Another way to recognize if officers have been trained in crisis intervention training, which is what they're talking about, CIT, is the officers will wear this pin right here like I have on mine. I know you like that. I know you like that. This is right here. Anytime you see an officer with that pin, that means they went through the training. So start looking for it, and you'll see that majority of us have gone through it. He likes to make fun.
So we got a couple of questions back over here. Then I'm gonna make my way back up to the seat up there, because I haven't been told no yet. And Major, I got something that I'm gonna let you have if you choose to run with it, right? But we're gonna come back over here first. You have a question. Tell us your name and what is that question have?
Anita Garcia. Thank you for explaining that. That was my question. I just wanted you to explain to everybody a little bit about that CERT training, because I know that it's available and it's a wonderful opportunity for officers.
Yeah, if we get the opportunity, back in the day, we had to sign up to go to it because it was a hard class to get into, and it's a week-long class. And I've been an officer now for 11 years, and by far that was the best class I've ever taken. So it really opened my eyes. We sit down with individuals that suffer from different disabilities. We get to talk to them firsthand, how they've had interactions with law enforcement, how we can approach them differently. I mean, we break down to even people with schizophrenia, and we put headphones on and we have to complete tasks while all these, voices and stuff are going through our mind. And it really helps prepare you for the real world. So that way we can recognize what people, when they're going through they're having a bad day. So yeah, it's a great course.
Any other questions or comments that we might have to open up before I'm making my Trooper William, you gonna grab him right there? Stand up, tell us your
My name
name.
is Stefan. Since all y'all law enforcement, is there a way y'all can get like the gang unit and all these other cops, like when they pull us over, they always look at us as another tag instead of another tag, the number, instead of trying to train them to look at us, like you said, as human beings and stop looking at us. Once you find out that we have been in jail, y'all whole attitude changed. Instead of just giving us the same respect that you got when you pulled up, don't look at us because we made a mistake and you want to look at us like, get out the car and do like this. So with that emotional distress, that was bringing a lot back on people. And like you said, it intimidates us. We don't know how to act. You see a tattoo, you see this, or you run my name, oh, he's a felon, and get out the car, you treat it this way. How about giving us guidance to lead to here to something better instead of intimidating us and making us feel more or less to what we are? We know we made a mistake, but you don't have to continue to treat us because we made a mistake. Like you said, it only take 1 second to make a split decision to come do this or do that. But when it always be them, you'll look at us as a target and like, okay, you on the same you was before, instead of guiding us somewhere and helping us out and giving us more education to go do something with us instead of looking at us as another number. Because all it proves is this, it messes with our mind, it messes up and it scares us. So that's why some people don't know how to act when we get pulled over by the police. Because the first thing y'all act when you look at us is, oh, you been in a gang? Even if you ain't been in a gang, you look at this outlaw tattoo, I'm a damn outlaw. I just can't be an outlaw and identify and help somebody out. I'm not an outlaw here. I'm not John Walsh or these people. I'm just being me, what I like. Like, you got a gang of tattoos. And if I walk up to your car, I'm going to think that's gang related. Yes, because I'm a cop. But look at us as humans and not what we have done and look at what we're going to do now. That's all I have to say.
I'll talk so that Anthony, Lieutenant Munoz doesn't have to talk. He preaches that. No, I can pat his back and he doesn't have to break his arm trying to do it. He preaches what he said earlier is see the person, not the computer screen. I've heard that. You gotta, I'll tell you that every interaction that I've had, you got a clean slate. We're gonna roll with however the conversation goes. Yeah. But I can tell you that Lieutenant Munoz preaches that stuff in his briefings with all of his squads. He talks about this stuff and he talks about making that personal connection and the bond that's built with each little roadside relationship that we built. So it takes time like everything else, right? But I get it. That's not lost on us. And I think one interaction at a time, one young officer at a time, that we're able to kind of mold and change that thought process. So it's gonna take some time, but I can tell you that it's emphasized in our building.
I respond to that too, if you don't mind. So I can speak for myself. I'm a little older than a lot of my crew. I started late in my life, so I've had a lot of life experience, which teaches you to be softer and have more compassion and grace for people, right? Not everyone's built like that. Some are very just, that's the job and that's what they do. So what we can do on our side is training and education. And that's on us. And that's our job to do that, right? I don't look at everyone in here is on my case. I don't look at the face sheet. Sometimes, what do they do? I don't know. Someone asked me, what are they on for? I don't know. Because honestly, I haven't looked at it yet. It's 3 weeks in. I'm worried about building a relationship. That's me. That's personally me. Everyone's not like that. So if I can facilitate and helping on training and leadership for that, then I'm going to do that. Because again, you made one mistake. Who in here hasn't made a mistake? You know what I'm saying? So we're very much alike more than we are different. So that's on us to educate and to teach them to approach people as humans, because we're all human who make mistakes. We're not perfect, right? So yeah, I know. I hear the stories. Mm-hmm. Right, right. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. I've had a few conversations with a few officers like you need to I mean, for better term, chill out because not everybody is going to hurt you or try to attack you. We revert to our training, right? Not everyone's a threat. That is how we are heightened and it's our job to be heightened, but you can still have a conversation with someone and not feel like you have to grab your weapon. That again is education and that's teaching them. So every time I have an opportunity to say something to someone, I do. Not that I'm better or worse, that look, you have to take this on a different approach because you're not going to get the results you want by doing that all the time. That makes sense.
That's a great question. I'm going to share with you a story as I move back over my seat because I'm looking for the yes. But I remember when I remember the very first time that I had gotten pulled over when I came home from the pen. I'll never forget it. I'm driving down the street. I get pulled over. They run me. I give them my ID. And then all the other police cars came, and then the truck came, and then the K9 came. They ripped out the back seat of my car and all the stuff, right? And listen, and they left it on the side of the road. But listen, I wasn't mad because I had that coming to me. Are you following what I'm saying? I was not mad at all. I wasn't even pissed off they left my seats on the side of the road, right? I'm serious. I wasn't mad because I had that coming to me. Because when I went in, I was that dude. And the minute that they saw, man, the helicopters came and everything, right? But I wasn't mad at them because I had that coming. Now, fast forward, and this might sound funny, but I'm not being funny. Just fast forward all these years later, I get pulled over today. They say, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Ponder," because I built up. They got to know who I am. Oh, get it? Yeah. Absolutely. Yep. Right. 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 Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. No, I promise you, I get you. I get that, and I feel that. What I think that we have a class that's going to be coming up in it's sometime in November, where we have it's the transparency in law enforcement, where we have LVMPD's internal affairs captain and lieutenant come in and answer all those tough questions. We did it back in July. I'm sorry, we did it in August, but I think that that's a perfect environment for you to be able to ask that question. Right. Right. That's right. Yep. Right. Right. That's right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Boy, you. Right. Right. That's strong, man. Give him a hand for that. Mouthpiece. I think we're gonna have him come back and speak at a class that we have. So listen, we coming to the I promise you, I'm gonna reach back. So we just make sure. So, mate, listen to this thought that I have, and you can steal this. Chad, cut the cameras off because I'm gonna let him have this. One of the things that we have done with LVMPD that have just worked out phenomenally, right? After developing those relationships, right? I had a chance to go into the academy and have a conversation with those young officers before they even hit the streets. Told them my story, told them what it is that we do, told them about Hope for Prisons. And before they got dispersed to the different area commands, Sheriff-elect McMahill had sent them over to Hope for Prisoners. And it was probably 5 or 6 police officers that walked in on Monday morning. You know, we have the class, right? Walk in Monday morning. And they sat down at the table, and nobody in the room knew they were cops except for me. And they sat and spent the whole week. They broke bread together. They had conversations together. They said things, right? And it was sitting there, listen, is life rubbing up against life? And then on Thursday, when the session comes in, those 4 or 5 officers wasn't there, like they was absent. But then they walked through the door in full uniform. And listen, it was not a dry eye in the house. But it gave them an opportunity to take a look and see behind the badge, right? That they're seeing people for just being people. Some of them were even inked up, like they just came home from the pen, but they was the police, right? But when they sat down in that room, right? I'll never forget, it was a guy, he was probably 62 years old. The guy did like 40 years in prison, and he was in, he was sitting next to this young African-American dude who was about 26 years old. And I'm watching them walk around the room and breaking bread and eating. And I see them outside the building spinning a few laps, and they're like this father or grandson relationship. And when that 26-year-old cop walked back in that room, the elderly man started crying, literally crying. He was going, oh man. And then he stood up with like stuff running out his nose, said, we're still gonna go fishing. I don't care. We're still gonna go fishing. But my question is, because I know you guys go through the academy together, what a fantastic opportunity would that be for us to be able to go in there, let life rub up against life, and before they put their boots on the ground, give them an opportunity to be inside the community, have a conversation. And I guarantee you, and then when the leadership walked into that room on Thursday, and at that time we got 4 sheriffs, undersheriff and the sheriff in the room with the deputy chiefs, right, the whole 9 yards. And now these young officers are looking at the command staff interact now with formerly incarcerated people. I believe that those young officers receive things in that room that's going to help carry them to be successful out there in the community. So, Mate, you can take that. It's yours. You can have it. What do you think?
I was actually after the thing. I've been thinking up here all night about how there's I don't speak. Our academy has a completely different command structure, but it's something that as you've been talking throughout the night, thinking there's a place for this component within our academy structure. And I don't know what it looks like, John, and we'll work on that. Is it a 2-hour day? Is it a project that each class comes up with where we team up with an organization within the community? And but I can tell you, as we've been sitting here tonight, the entire thought running through my mind is there's a place for this. And I think that Major Schubert will back me up on this. There's a component of hope for prisoners that is applicable in the academy training setting of our newer officers. So what that looks like right now, I can't promise you anything, but we'll have discussions for sure.
Hey, listen, as we bring things to a close, I'm going to give you this opportunity to have closing remarks. D.A. Wolfson, any closing remarks?
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure speaking up here with all of you panel members. It's been a pleasure to speak with all of you too. I think you've seen some honest approaches, honest opinions, honest feelings from all of us. And we're here to support you. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And there's people in this room that know what I'm talking about. But the work is yours. You know, you've got to do the work. It's not easy sometimes. You're going to have good days and bad days. I have good days and bad days. Everybody has good days and bad days. But get through them and hang with the right people. I mean, that's pretty obvious. Okay, don't hang with the wrong people. And live every day like it's the best day of your life. And things can be okay.
Just echo that, and I'll keep it as short as I can because this fire is getting really hot behind us. We're here to help you, and I think that, you know, one relationship at a time. You guys continue to put in the work. The real work is ahead of you. You've made great strides in committing to what you've committed to here, and if we can help you get over that next hurdle or the next hurdle, because you're going to come up against some brick walls. If we can help you get through those or around them, we're real easy to find. Just reach out, and I can assure you that there's a bunch of people in my office, a bunch of people in Major Schubert's office that are there that would find nothing more rewarding in my profession than to help somebody through. So in a public service industry, there's nothing better than serving the public. So thank you guys for having us, and I appreciate it. I look forward to a relationship going forward.
First, I want to say thank you to my lieutenant for plucking me from where I was and putting me in the spot that I am. He knows my heart, and that's pretty much all you need to know when it comes to me. He knows that this is where I'm best served, and to have the faith they have in me to represent Parole and Probation here means the world. So I thank all of my people that are my clients of mine to come here. Hi, everybody. It shows that you have faith in me too, and so that's not gone without notice. So I will always fight for you. But you have to fight for yourself, and I want you to be able to do that. I thank everyone else for coming out to be here. It's always such a great pleasure to sit with this leadership. I feel so honored to get to the real questions and have those uncomfortable conversations that we're going to have to get to the other side of it. You know, we're going to have to. It's not a perfect straight line, but we'll get there, and we just got to do it together. So I appreciate everybody. Yeah. Of course, always. And I'm always willing to have that conversation. So I thank everyone else for having me. Thank you.
So thank you guys all for being here. It really means a lot for us that we filled this room up, which is awesome. I'm extremely honored to sit on this panel with people I look up to and I greatly respect here. And my man, this is where it starts right here with hope, with Jon's vision. This is where it starts. So like the Major said, it's not falling on deaf ears. We're pushing stuff out. Believe in yourselves because we believe in you. I am so proud every time there's certain things on social media you put, and Hope's hashtag is I am Hope. I am so proud to say that I am Hope, and I believe and have so much love for everybody in this building. Thank you, guys.
Just going to echo what everybody else says. Like, this is my first Fireside. I think it's a little misnomer, but we'll see. But I truly enjoyed it. This is what we need. And it's just evident in here, and we need more of it. And as Parole and Probation, that's what we're shooting for. That rehabilitation, everything that Jon's doing here, we're going to be part of. I've been to a few graduations, and they get to you. You hear the stories in there, and it changes you. And yeah, like you said, we have to get our new officers here. And a funny story is Tiffany, or Officer Smith, sorry, used to be a waitress where myself and I think he was a colonel or what was he? He was probably a captain at High Patrol. We'd go there in the morning and eat, and then we'd go to work. And we started talking to her. And 2 years, couple years later, she's working for Parole and Probation because we're talking about recruiting the right people, right? We started talking to her. And now she's one of our officers because she had the right stuff. She had the right mentality, and that's what we're looking for. And that's what's going to help us grow here in the future. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. It was pretty impactful tonight. So thank you.
So I just like to say thank you, John, for this program. It's excellent, brother, and you are doing your thing, and we appreciate it. The amount of resources that you're giving these folks, the amount of opportunities that you're giving them, it's just amazing, and we'll continue to support you. We'll continue to help you grow. Hope for prisoners, hope for second chances, and you know, we're your partner in this. All right. Thank you, bro.
I know I didn't talk much tonight, but I love this program. I love coming to the workshops. I love seeing familiar faces out here today and saying hey and embracing each other and some new smiles and meeting some new people. It really, really makes my day. And I also just really want to thank our command. The reason when we came up with this idea with Hope, Faith, and the Blue tonight, this is the first time we've ever done this. And this was awesome. I don't know what other word to say, but this was awesome. And the fact that our command came out, this is huge. It's hard to get even just one of them in a room sometimes. And we have 2 divisions here, Parole and Probation and Highway Patrol. So they all showed up. And I just want to thank our command from both divisions for coming out tonight. This was huge. And this is huge for us moving forward with this program. And I'm so excited to see where we go because sky's the limit. And, you know, it's a 2-way street. And the only way we're going to be successful is if you guys are successful because you are part of the communities that we serve and protect. We are both part of those communities. And so just thank you so much for being here tonight. And I was just so grateful to be a part of it. Thank you.
Hey, before we say goodnight to everybody online, you know, this is the Faith, Blue, and Hope. We'd be remiss without getting up out of here without praying. But we're going to circle back on that in a minute. Again, I want to extend a huge thank you to everybody here. Again, what Trooper Wellman said, having the command staff here and spending time is just absolutely huge. But I'm gonna ask you guys to get up on your feet so we can pray. But before we do that, don't move. You know how you're in prison, you see people moving in places they ain't supposed to be moving? I just saw you out my peripheral vision, almost had a flashback. Just relax. I'm going to ask you to get up on your feet. We're going to pray. But I first want to ask you to get up on your feet to recognize an amazing woman is in this room and a great community leader. And we're talking about Miss Sandra Douglas Morgan, the president of the Raiders in the house. Can we stand up and give her a big, gigantic round of applause? Go Raiders! And I'm going to say goodnight to our friends over inside Nevada Department of Corrections out there on Facebook Live. We can go ahead and pray out, then we can get up out of here. But I'm going to ask you guys to just join us in prayer in this Faith, Blue, and Hope. Father, we just come before you right now. God, in the name of Jesus, God, we thank you for this day, Father. We thank you for the men and women that have gathered in this room right now, God. We thank you for the conversations that have taken place. God, we thank you for the leadership that is in this room, God. We want to pray for them, Lord God. We thank you for their heart. We thank you for their vision, Lord God. And Father, we just want to pray right now that you give them strength in any area, God, that they might be weak, God, and weaken them in any area they may be too strong. Father, we want to pray for the other members of the leadership team that will come alongside them, God. We just want to pray them in, God. Father, the words that were shared here online and inside this room, God, we just pray that an anointing rests on each and every one of those words, God. So as they have been released from the lips of the speaker, God, and as went into the ears of the hearer, that your anointing rests on it so it will be received for its intended purpose. God bless every one of our speakers. Keep them safe. Keep them protected. Help us all understand that all authority comes from you. And Father, we rest underneath that authority. In Jesus' magnificent name, we say amen. All right. Thank you guys for coming out. Appreciate you, man. Yes, yes, yes. I want to introduce you to my friend. Steve, thank you so much. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, and I'm giving one too.